"Step away from the car, ma'am. Step away from the car, ma'am." The command sliced through the tranquil Saturday afternoon, sharp as shattered glass. Officer Blake Miller's hand hovered over his holster, his mirrored shades reflecting the autumn sun as he approached. Sarah Jenkins froze, one foot still poised to enter the brilliant blue 1969 Ford Mustang, her late father's cherished masterpiece. Dressed in her best jeans, a crisp blazer, and simple loafers, a brown leather tote slung over her shoulder, she felt the eyes of the upscale plaza turn to her. The weekend hum died, replaced by a sudden chilling silence. "I said, step away now," Miller insisted, his gaze sweeping over the flawless paint. "This vehicle matches a stolen car report." His voice, thick with suspicion, seemed to weigh her. A black woman, against the gleaming muscle car. Could he really think? "Officer, I can explain," Sarah began, but he cut her off with an imperious hand. Her heart pounded. Just minutes ago she'd been picking up a small gift for her mom. Now this simple errand was spiraling into a public nightmare. The Mustang's hood radiated a gentle warmth from the brief drive. Miller stood firm, feet apart, his thumb nervously tapping his holster strap. A young couple nearby slowed, the man subtly raising his phone. The air crackled with a strange tension, as if the entire parking lot held its breath. Sarah caught her reflection in the Mustang's window, calm, alert, but inside a storm raged. She knew how swiftly these encounters could escalate. Miller's eyes devoured the car again, lingering on its pristine condition. "Quite a ride," he declared, loud enough for the growing crowd. "Worth more than some folks earn in years, isn't it?" The unspoken accusation hung heavy. "You don't belong with this car." Phones rose slowly, like a field of electronic eyes, eager to capture the unfolding drama. "Hands on the hood," Miller commanded, his voice now a cold blade. It was not a request. Sarah's brown tote slid from her shoulder, hitting the asphalt with a surprisingly loud thud in the deepening quiet. The Mustang's warm metal felt alien beneath her palms, a stark contrast to the icy knot twisting in her stomach. Every single eye in the plaza felt like a burning spotlight. Miller circled her, his gaze flicking between the car and her controlled posture. "This car is probably worth more than you make in 5 years," he repeated, his voice carrying, ensuring the crowd heard his narrative. A wave of uncomfortable shifts passed through the onlookers. Phones rising higher. Sarah understood perfectly. He was painting her as a criminal before she could utter a single word. "Officer, the documents you need are—" "Not another word," he snapped. "You'll explain it to the detectives." "Detectives?" The word tasted like a sentence. Across the lot, a young man in a gray hoodie, Alex Rodriguez, angled his phone, the tiny red live indicator glowing in his sunglasses. "Something big is going down at the plaza," he whispered urgently to his viewers. Sarah faintly heard his words, but kept her eyes fixed forward. Then, a determined figure with a cane, Mrs. Albright, pushed through the crowd. "That's—" she started, but Miller didn't even glance her way. "Step back, ma'am. Police business." His harsh tone silenced Mrs. Albright mid-stride. Sarah felt the crowd shift behind her, the collective pretense of shopping dissolving into open filming. The story was tightening, suffocating her like a noose. A black woman, an expensive car, a cop with a booming voice, painting her as a thief. The plaza's cheerful weekend symphony was replaced by the hushed, hungry hum of a crowd craving a headline. She fought to keep her voice steady, her movements precise, every action a calculated step to avert disaster. But inside, the humiliation burned. This wasn't just about a car, it was about the insidious assumptions people made, never pausing to ask. Alex adjusted his phone, the red live badge pulsing. "We're at the Rivergate Plaza parking lot," he murmured to his rapidly growing audience. "And this is about to get serious." The viewer count skyrocketed. 47, 2083, 6119. Each jump pulling more and more eyes into her nightmare. Comments scrolled by in a blur. "What's happening? Is she okay? Looks like profiling." Sarah heard the faint digital chatter, her hands still steady on the hood. acutely aware that every breath, every twitch was being recorded. Mrs. Albright tried again, her cane tapping faster. "Officer Miller, I know this woman," she called out, her voice clear. He didn't even look. "Ma'am," I said. "Step back," he barked, his tone clipped and final. A tremor went through the crowd. Uneasy glances were exchanged, but no one moved. At the lot's edge, two teens with phones held high captured a wide shot of the Mustang, Sarah's still figure, and Miller's pacing. Alex's live stream caught the sky's reflection on the car's hood, sunlight flashing like a cruel spotlight. Comments exploded. Someone recognized the location, urging others to call the news. A screenshot with a geotag appeared, and in minutes the viewer count soared past. The air grew heavy, not with heat, but with the suffocating weight of global attention. What began as a private humiliation was now being sucked into the digital vortex. No longer containable, Sarah remained motionless, knowing one wrong move wouldn't just play out here, but would loop endlessly online. This story wasn't hers anymore. It was becoming everyone's. Miller's voice dropped, colder than ice. "I need to look inside that vehicle." Sarah met his gaze, her voice calm but unyielding. "Officer, my Fourth Amendment protections are non-negotiable." She could feel the shift in the crowd, a subtle murmur, phones angling closer. People sensing the line being drawn. Miller took a half step towards the driver's door. "Probable cause says otherwise. This car matches a stolen vehicle report." Sarah didn't budge. "Then you'll need to establish that through proper channels. What's in my briefcase is protected by law, and you know it." Through the back window, the corner of a leather portfolio was just visible, catching the sun. Miller's eyes lingered there a beat too long. The tension coiled tighter, a silent, agonizing tug of war between power and principle. Behind them, a man muttered, "She knows the law better than he does." A woman shushed him, but the words were already immortalized on dozens of recordings. Sarah's voice remained level. "That briefcase contains privileged legal documents. Any unauthorized search would compromise active cases." Miller's jaw clenched, but before he could retort, Alex's stream caught Mrs. Albright trying to edge closer again. "Officer, please just listen." "Ma'am, step back now." Miller barked, his focus unwavering from Sarah. The crowd shifted nervously. The plaza's weekend buzz had vanished, replaced by a low thrum of collective anticipation. Every second stretched, pulling Sarah further from her crucial appointment. The hearing at the Capitol. She could almost hear the clock ticking. But for now, she had to stand her ground. Every muscle tensed, every word chosen to prevent this from tipping into chaos. Suddenly, two police cruisers, lights flashing, eased into the lot. Sergeant David Chen emerged from the lead car, his eyes scanning the scene with the weary expertise of someone who'd seen too many standoffs. Officer Lisa Davis followed, her body camera already recording as she began ushering onlookers back, creating a loose perimeter. Chen approached Miller, his voice low but firm. "What's happening here?" Miller stiffened. "Possible stolen vehicle, subject uncooperative." Chen's gaze landed on Sarah, hands on the hood, posture steady, eyes clear. Something about her didn't fit Miller's description. Lisa called out, "Crowds thickening, Sarge, multiple cameras, live streams. Media's probably on the way." Chen nodded, then turned to Sarah. "Ma'am, why can't you produce your documents right now?" She met his gaze directly. "They're in my briefcase in the back seat, but I have an urgent schedule. I'm due at the state capitol for a legislative hearing, and I'm running out of time." Her voice was calm, but Chen caught the desperate urgency. Somewhere in the crowd, a phone alarm chirped, strangely echoing the frantic tick-tock in his own head. Lisa moved to hold back a surge of bystanders pressing for a better view. Chen weighed the immense pressure. The investigation, the swelling, filming crowd, the undeniable sense that this situation was already spiraling beyond their control. He didn't know who she was yet, but he knew this wouldn't stay confined to this asphalt lot. The distant rumble of a van turned heads, then the bright Channel 12 news lettering came into view. The van swung into a spot, its satellite dish rising even before the engine died. Jennifer Garcia, The station's renowned reporter stepped out, cameraman already locked on. Alex's live stream exploded with comments. "Channel 12 is here. This is going national." Within seconds she was broadcasting live. Alex's viewer count surged past. Chen's radio crackled. Dispatch reported other news outlets were en route, having picked up the viral stream. He kept his face neutral, but his timeline was shrinking catastrophically. Then, his phone vibrated. A direct call from dispatch. "Sarge, it's State Senator Emily Hayes." Chen glanced at Sarah, still resolute against the Mustang, before answering. "Senator Hayes, we're in the middle of an active scene." The senator's voice was brisk, leaving no room for doubt. "Sergeant, the woman you're detaining is scheduled to testify in less than an hour before the Judiciary Committee on the Police Accountability Act. She is a critical witness. I need confirmation she is safe and that her constitutional rights are being respected." Chen felt the full weight of her words. This wasn't just a scheduling conflict. It was a collision of law enforcement procedure and state politics, playing out live for the world to see. Miller stiffened, muttering about outside interference. Senator Hayes continued. "The hearing can delay 20 minutes at most, Sergeant, but the entire committee is aware of what's happening. Every second counts." The crowd buzzed. Some murmured at the mention of a senator. Others lifted phones higher, capturing Chen's stunned silence and Sarah's unwavering stance. Jennifer edged closer with her mic, grabbing fragments for her broadcast. Chen gave a tight, almost imperceptible nod. "Understood, Senator. I'll verify her identity immediately." As he hung up, he felt Miller's frustration radiating, but the call had irrevocably shifted everything. This wasn't a routine stop anymore. It was a public crucible, a test of judgment under the merciless gaze of the press and the state capitol. Chen stepped closer to Sarah, lowering his voice, but keeping it firm. "Ma'am, I can give you a small window, 60, maybe 90 seconds to call the Judiciary Committee to confirm your role, but it must be on speaker, and your hands must remain visible." Miller's head snapped toward him. "Sarge, that's not protocol. What about chain of custody for whatever's in that car?" Letting her make calls, Chen cut him off with a look. "We need to verify identity before this escalates any further." Sarah gave a single, measured nod. "Understood. My phone is in my right jacket pocket." Chen gestured for her to move slowly. Every eye in the lot tracked her hand as she reached, pulled out the phone, tapped the screen, selected a contact, and placed it on the hood, speaker up. A few rings, then a crisp female voice. "Judiciary Committee. This is Michelle." Sarah's tone was calm, yet imbued with steely purpose. "Michelle, it's Sarah Jenkins. I'm detained here at the Rivergate Plaza parking lot. I'm due to testify on the Police Accountability Act. Please confirm to the officer here." Without a moment's hesitation, Michelle replied. "Yes. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jenkins is scheduled to give critical testimony today. The committee chair is fully aware of the situation." A gasp rippled through the crowd, caught on countless live streams. Chen gave a subtle nod to Lisa, still holding the perimeter, and she returned it, a shared understanding of the exponentially rising stakes. The call had done more than just confirm Sarah's identity. It had put everyone on notice. Sarah ended the call, leaving the phone on the hood for all to see. Her eyes met Chen's. "I'll show you my credentials now. My hands will remain visible the entire time." The crowd fell silent as she slowly turned, reaching for the brown leather tote on the ground. Every deliberate movement, every second, documented by Alex's stream and dozens of others. She unbuckled the flap, reached inside, and withdrew a slim leather wallet. With a practiced flick, she opened it, revealing a federal identification card. The gold Department of Justice seal gleamed in the afternoon sun. "Assistant United States Attorney Sarah Jenkins," she stated clearly, her voice carrying over the stunned silence of the lot. Jennifer's camera zoomed in, capturing the seal, her photo, the bold black lettering. Alex's viewer count exploded again, 40. Chen stepped closer, his expression tightening as the profound reality crashed over him. Miller's jaw flexed, but he stood rooted, his hands twitching restlessly at his belt. Sarah wasn't finished. She reached into her tote again, pulling out a manila envelope, then a crisp registration document, followed by an insurance card. She held them out for Chen. "This car is legally registered to me, transferred from my father's estate just 18 months back. And yes, it's fully insured under my name." Chen examined the paperwork, his gaze flicking between the documents and the majestic Mustang. Every detail matched. Around them, murmurs turned into astonished whispers, the crowd processing the staggering revelation. The woman Miller had so casually accused of grand theft auto was a federal prosecutor, fully credentialed, with a state senator vouching for her in real time. Sarah's posture remained unyielding. "You wanted verification, Sergeant. Now you have it." Chen gave a slow, deliberate nod. The balance of power had irrevocably shifted. This was no longer a local dispute. It was a national watershed moment, unfolding live, the truth laid bare for all to witness. Sarah's steady gaze held Chen's for a moment, then shifted sharp and deliberate to Miller. "Officer, what just transpired here was not a misunderstanding. It is a blatant instance of racial profiling, made worse by your refusal to allow me to present identification until this became a public spectacle." Her tone was measured, yet honed to a razor's edge by years in federal courtrooms. "Under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983, your actions today expose this department and the city to grave liability. And yes, should you doubt it, I am fully prepared to pursue legal action." Miller opened his mouth, but she raised a hand, stopping him cold. "Before you speak, you should know that the very hearing I am late for, the Police Accountability Act, is designed to address precisely this kind of behavior. Every single detail of this encounter will be on the record." The crowd reacted audibly, a wave of gasps and murmurs passing through as phones angled higher. Jennifer's cameraman adjusted, framing both Sarah and Miller. "So, here are your choices," Sarah continued, her voice clear, ensuring every microphone captured her words. 1. Immediate suspension pending a federal investigation. 2. Voluntary demotion, 200 hours of bias training, and testimony before the legislature about today's events. Or 3. Immediate retirement with full benefits, but you never work in law enforcement or security again. Chen's eyebrows arched at the brutal honesty of her demands, but he remained silent. Miller shifted his weight, his eyes darting to the crowd, then to the media cameras, then desperately to Chen, searching a lifeline. Suddenly, Senator Hayes's voice cut through the air from Chen's open phone speaker. "Officer Miller, I am listening, and so is the Judiciary Committee. This is your opportunity to choose accountability over stubbornness." The parking lot fell into a profound silence, broken only by the faint hum of the news van's generator. Sarah stood motionless, her expression resolute, the Mustang gleaming beside her like a silent, powerful witness. The air hung suspended, the moment stretching between past injustice and the possibility of profound change. Everyone present knew they were about to witness history. Miller's eyes flickered between the cameras, the crowd, and Chen before he finally exhaled, a deep, weary sigh. "I choose option 2, he said, his voice barely a whisper, just audible to the first row of onlookers. A ripple went through the crowd, some surprised, others nodding, as if they'd been holding their breath for this very moment. Sarah gave a single, acknowledging nod. "Then we start now." She reached into her tote, pulling out a bound document stamped with the Department of Justice seal. "This is a memorandum of understanding I've prepared. It outlines reforms your department will implement within 90 days. Chen accepted the document, flipping through the pages as Jennifer angled her mic. Body-worn cameras for every traffic stop, with footage reviewed by a civilian oversight board. Sarah enunciated clearly. Quarterly bias training led by community organizations, monthly public reports on stop demographics, analyzed by race, location, and officer, and the creation of a community oversight board with subpoena power to investigate misconduct. She spoke each measure deliberately, letting the weight of the requirements settle. These aren't punishments. They're professional standards designed to protect both the public and the dedicated officers who serve it. Officer Davis, still holding the perimeter, called out, "I support that. We need clearer guidelines." A low hum of approval rose from the crowd. Chan looked up from the document, meeting Sarah's eyes. "I'll personally oversee implementation." The cameras captured it all. His pledge, her steady gaze, Miller standing silently beside the Mustang. Sarah turned toward the microphones, her voice resonating with quiet power. "Accountability isn't about tearing something down, it's about building trust. Trust strong enough to last." In that moment, the plaza transformed from a tense standoff into the genesis of something monumental. The reform plan, clutched in Chen's hands, was already etched into public memory. 6 months later, the seeds sown in that parking lot had blossomed. The Police Accountability Act passed with bipartisan support, mandating body-worn cameras for all traffic stops, quarterly bias training, public reporting of stop demographics, and civilian oversight boards statewide. Departments rushed to comply, and for many, adherence became a source of pride. Miller completed his 2,000 hours of training. His assignment shifted to community outreach. Standing before cadets at the State Police Academy, he openly recounted the Rivergate Plaza incident, what he saw, what he assumed, and how profoundly wrong he had been. His testimony, a sobering cautionary tale, was integrated into the Academy's ethics curriculum. Complaints against his department plummeted, each quarterly report showing a measurable decline in racial disparities during stops. Alex Rodriguez, the student whose live stream changed everything, was awarded a prestigious journalism scholarship and later interned with a civil rights news outlet. Mrs. Albright, with her decades of courthouse experience, accepted an invitation to advise the new Civilian Oversight Board. Sarah continued her impactful work as an assistant U.S. attorney, her schedule now enriched with guest lectures on constitutional rights at law schools and police training programs. The Mustang still gleamed in her driveway, its polished chrome reflecting more than her father's cherished legacy. It mirrored the undeniable proof that one confrontation, handled with calm precision and unwavering resolve, could forever alter policy and perception, far beyond a single afternoon. On the sun-drenched afternoon of the bill's signing, Sarah eased the Mustang into a reserved spot at the foot of the state capitol steps. The car's deep blue paint shimmered, its chrome throwing back flashes of light. Affixed to the rear was a new custom license plate. Evidence, subtle to some, but for those who knew her story, it was a metallic declaration. Reporters lined the walkway, cameras swiveling as she emerged, the familiar brown leather tote over her shoulder. Jennifer Garcia was there, mic in hand, her live feed framing the car and the plate, before panning up to Sarah. "Symbolism matters," Sarah said, with a soft smile, her eyes sweeping over the grand Capitol facade. "Evidence over assumption. That's how we protect the law and the people it serves." A throng of lawmakers, community leaders, and tireless advocates gathered on the steps. Senator Emily Hayes approached, shaking Sarah's hand firmly before guiding her toward the podium. As Sarah ascended, she paused, her fingers resting lightly on the Mustang's roof for a fleeting moment, a quiet homage to her father's memory, a silent acknowledgement of the long, transformative journey from that plaza parking lot. The cameras captured it, a powerful still frame for evening broadcasts and front pages, the gleaming car below, the towering Capitol above, and a federal prosecutor walking between them, ready to speak of justice earned, not through anger, but through unshakable resolve. Sarah looked out at the diverse crowd, her voice steady, yet warm with conviction. What happened in that parking lot wasn't just about me, it was about the assumptions we all carry, and the choices we make when confronted with them. Change doesn't come from silence. It comes when we stand firm, speak truth, and demand better. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone who comes after us. Evidence over assumption, accountability over ego. That's how we build trust worth protecting. Applause swelled from the steps, but Sarah's gaze lingered on the Mustang. It would always be more than a car. It was a potent reminder that dignity and patience could transform even the most humiliating moment into a powerful catalyst for reform. As the sun dipped lower, she left the podium, her steps measured, her resolve unyielding. If one encounter could help change laws, then countless voices united could surely transform a nation.